Thank you for tuning in to The Real Tea with T3. My name is Tisha Harris. I'm going to be your host today, and I'm also the team leader of Texas Trio Team. We've got a ton of information we're going to be sharing with you about home inspections. So we'll go around and introduce everybody of who are you and what keeps you busy these days.
Hey guys, it's Kendra Gensches with Texas Trio Team, and super excited to be here with our guest today.
I am Matt Brading of Texas Edge Home Inspections. So I inspect homes out in the Houston and greater Houston area.
That's awesome. So you actually came across our awareness through Instagram. You have a really big following, and so tell us about that, how you're balancing social media life and doing home inspections.
Maybe when I figure that out. It's a constant struggle, I should say, because it did kind of get a little bit borderline out of control, like the social media stuff. And I mean, once you kind of achieve something, you want to keep it, right? And continue to grow it. And so I'm sort of feeding the monster all the time, And so, I mean, I have figured out a rhythm. Once you're doing it all the time, you figure out, okay, this is, when I like to post, when I need to post, how often I like to post. And so I'm kind of constantly building a library of material that I can post at any time that I want, instead of just posting as I do stuff, because that's really stressful, right? So I have a lot of stuff that I just put out. It's already made. And so that helped with the whole work and life, because basically it's a job, right? It's another job. At first it was just, kind of a hobby thing but when it became something much larger than that, it was more like a second job. And so, yeah, I mean, between, the family and actual real work and the social media stuff, because it's not just posting videos, you have to manage this too. So I have to reply to people. I have to answer questions. I have to, continue to push engagement and things. So it's kind of, and then you just get caught up into watching it too, how well you're performing and stuff. When you put something out there, you want to know, or I do.
I thought you meant just watching reels.
No. I don't actually. I don't watch much of anything, and I actually feel bad about that, because I have so many friends that put out so much good material, whether it's real estate, construction, inspection, a lot of them that put out a lot of good material, and I don't get to watch nearly enough of it, just because that's where the balance comes in, right? What are you going to do? I'm working a lot. I do things like coach my son's football team, and of course, just regular life, family stuff. But then, I post all this stuff on social media and continue to monitor that and everything. But when do I have time to actually watch and be entertained by social media? A friend of mine in the construction industry reminded me recently that it's, the social media thing is really just a place of entertainment, and not to take it too seriously. I have to remind myself that every now and again, because you do get kind of wrapped up in it, or I do.
Mm-hmm. I can attest to that, because the first time that I saw your channel, I swear I went down 10 pages on
Yes.
It's entertainment, but it's also very informative.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sets you apart from, other home inspectors.
I try to bridge that gap. I mean, the thing is you need to make sure that people are entertained by it if you want them to stick around. And so, and I want them to. I feel like my target audience comes from people that are going to purchase a home soon. I feel like they start Googling and looking up things and talking about homes, and the next thing you know, the algorithm starts feeding them home-related stuff. They find me, but I don't want to lose my audience just because they're no longer buying a home. And so I feel like I want to entertain them some way, somehow. And so I try to keep it, funny, lighthearted. I try to put a variety of different material out there just for those purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure, like you're saying, you're keeping the people, your audience, of things to look at when they buy a home, a minor repair or something like that they could do, or maybe major repair.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Anything from minor to major. And I like to, pepper in content to the homeowner, not just somebody that's selling or buying, or whatever. I also want people to take something out of my content, like home maintenance or things that they can do to kind of, better maintain their home or things to look out for. And so, yeah, I'm trying to kind of communicate to all of them.
Yeah. So I would love to like go backwards a little bit,
Right.
and like how long you've been doing home inspections. What got you into wearing those shoes?
Okay. My company has been established since 2017. I was doing something completely unrelated before, but I've kind of always had this mindset of like fixing things, knowing about things. I was the guy you came to when something was broken, and there was a stretch where, because the company I was working with before, like I say, completely unrelated. It was actually a van and truck rental company. So you're like, okay, home inspector, van, truck rental, where does that line up, And I worked for them for 25 years.
Wow.
So it was a long stretch. And so during that time, I did a lot of things because I obviously started when I was young. So I'm 45 now. And so backwards math that. I was very young when I started that company. And then I worked my way up to just about as high as I could get in the company until we like took a downturn like during 2008 when everything, kind of got crazy. I was managing 6 stores. I was doing the job I always wanted to do as the manager of managers, On my road to get there and before everything kind of crashed, and then even a little bit afterwards, we were growing offices, creating new offices in different areas of the country, different areas of the state. It was a Texas-based company, but somehow I got kind of thrown into that, like the remodel of that and helping get these offices off the ground. So I kind of got a lot. I mean, I was already kind of had the mindset of like, knowing how to do things. I'm just the type of guy that takes something apart, learn how to fix it or whatever. A do-it-yourself type person. I've just always been that person. So I think that's kind of how I ended up in the role of helping develop these new offices. And I learned a ton about like, the construction world then by just having contractors come in and out doing things. And I just feel like I've been fortunate enough to like be a fly on the wall around a lot of contractors and tradesmen, like just through life experiences, even if it's for work or if it's for personal. I've known a few people that were tradesmen in some whether it's HVAC or plumbing or, stuff like that. And I just learned from all of these people. And basically what I'm getting at is, back in like 2016, I was looking for new work because in 2008, I tell you, everything kind of changed, right? And although I was still doing some of that work I was talking about, they took away any. I work hard, okay, and I like the whole you work hard, you get paid more, right? Well, we got paid commission, and so I was doing great, but they took that away in 2008 and never gave it back, and so that and the fact that there was no growth. I had gotten to the highest point I could get to. And then they dropped me back to where I didn't want to be because there weren't any stores to manage anymore, like multiples. And so I was over one store. I was kind of not loving it, waiting for things to turn around, and they didn't. So I guess I stuck around for 8 more years. And a family member that was a realtor suggested one time, like, hey, have you ever thought about doing home inspection? Because I think you might be good at it. I had never thought about it at all. It never crossed my mind at all. I didn't know what it was, really. I mean, I'd bought houses, but I didn't ever have an inspection. I didn't know what to do. I said, no, I mean, that sounds interesting, And so I looked it up, and immediately once I started to learn like what it was, I was like, oh, yeah, this is very interesting. I like it a lot. Within 7 days of this getting brought to my attention, I was driving down to Champion School of Real Estate and putting a down payment on training. I was like, why not, And so, of course, I worked full-time. I was just about to have a baby or I had one right away, either a fresh baby or I was just about to have one. And couple that with, just like I say, work, life, everything. It took a year to get through the training. But I did it, and I opened up my company in 2017 and just, started working immediately for myself. I never worked for anybody else. I had some friends that I made along the way in the industry to kind of help me and bounce questions off of and stuff. But I set the bar for myself. I set the bar for my company. And, that's it. now I've gotten very busy, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media, but a lot of it has to do with the thoroughness that I bring to the table because I'm relentless when I
Right.
do my work.
So whenever you, I'm so sorry, Kendra, but I gotta ask you, whenever you did, like it's through truck, right? Like your schooling and all of that.
Correct.
So like when you're very similar to us, like, you're doing the education and all that. So you had like the test where you had to go sit for a couple hours and go do all that.
Yeah. So where I think home inspection training and exams and things differ a little bit from real estate is, I think real estate, in order to get your license, you have to take a little bit of classes and then pass tests, and then you get licensed, and then you got a lot of CE that you have to do in the first, I think it's 2 years or 1 year?
2.
2 years. You got a lot of it, right? So for us, we got it all on the front end. We have to get they've lowered it. It was like 204 hours whenever I did it, but it's like, I think it's 194 hours or something now.
They're getting away with it.
I know. Like what? First of all, it wasn't enough to begin with, Like you get out of training and you don't even know how to do a home inspection, so it's not enough. So to begin with, and they lowered it since I have been an inspector. But yeah, I had to take over 200 hours of certified training with the state and get all of those certifications from like Champion School of Real Estate just to be able to take the exams, which you have a national exam, which is about 200 questions, like a 55% failure rate. It's a pretty nasty test, all a bunch of code and stuff. And then a state test, which is only about 50 questions or something, and it was actually pretty easy. And so, yeah, but then after that, I need 32 hours of CE every 2 years. But I mean, so I think that's the difference.
The difference. I'm just like, I'm trying to think, like you went from a completely different industry, and then you, just like us, like you're going through and you're taking like these really extensive tests, and then like, when you walked out of there, just that like, I'm successful.
Heck yeah. Passing the test was huge. I mean, because again, it's got a big failure rate, right?
Right.
And you can take it like, I think 3 times or something before you have to either go back and do more training or something like that. I think if you fail it 3 times, you should
find another field.
Totally. Probably should do that. But you can backtrack a little bit and then like, take another exam or take another class or something like that, and then go back and take it against something. I can't remember what it is. But I passed it the first time. So it's like, you feel is
doing something right.
Validating to walk out of there knowing, okay, I did absorb what they were trying to tell me, at least enough to take the test. Again, you don't know how to do a home inspection. That they have additional classes for that. I can't imagine how you'd even do that. The only real way to do this job is to learn how to do this job is to either work under somebody or just get experience and know enough to know when you don't know something. Because when you don't know something, you either got to find out about it or just admit that you don't know it. I think that's one thing I want, newer home inspectors to take from some of the material that I put out there. I try to tell them it's okay to not know. I learned this early on. Somebody taught me that.
We're having so many similarities, like with what your field is versus what ours is. I mean, we cross paths all the time, but I mean, completely different. But I mean, there's a lot of similarities. Same with real estate. Like, if you don't know, like, don't pretend like you know. Right. You're going to get yourself in more trouble.
Right. Yeah, it is better to just not know. Like, no one knows everything, right? It is funny though, because as I do home inspections, I'll get people that ask me questions off the wall, and that I'm not expecting, and I just have answers. So, not necessarily like in the bank, right? But I mean, like I might just have to think about it for a minute. But it's like through my experience of what I have learned doing what I do. They might ask an odd question. I'm like, well, let me give that some thought. And then boom, like answers just kind of start coming, But that is from experience. Like I couldn't do that whenever I first started. I couldn't just, spout off answers. But it is funny how over time and the experience you get, a lot of dots start to connect. Whether it's something you've experienced or something you learned in training or something somebody told you about, your ability to diagnose problems. I've got another inspector that works for me now, and he called me the other day, and he was like, hey, I got this issue. It's not making any sense. And I was immediately able to diagnose the problem just with him talking to me about what was going on. And we figured out what was going on just, even though it was a problem he had never seen before. It was something I ran into once, but yeah, I mean, just experience, that's the only real way to learn. And so I know that's weird to say whenever, like, people like me, there's a lot of people that want to just be a home inspector. They want to go get their license and start their own company. I did that. I actually don't encourage it a lot because there's a tremendous amount of liability, a tremendous amount of risk, and it's impossible for me to know what these people know before they do that. Where, like, if you work for somebody, like this guy that's working for me, similar story to mine, never worked for another home inspector or anything. He was going to start his own business, but then decided to work for somebody, and I'm like, yeah, come work for me. And so I've trained him, and he's gotten all of my experience has been lent to him for free. And he's light years ahead of where I was whenever I started in 2017. He's doing great. His inspection reports look like somebody that's been doing this for, 5, 6, 7 years. So I don't really encourage a lot of people to just go out and get a license and start their own company because there's just so much that you don't know. But it can be done. I did it, and I know other people that have done it. But I think you have to know that about yourself because you can't just fake it.
Right.
So how did you do that? Just got your license, started a business, and had a brand new baby. How did you?
It was, again,
Did
hard.
you hear that sigh? Like,
Yeah, he's like, oh,
I was so broken.
It was hard. It was hard. Well, first of all, I was still employed with the other company. Originally, when I went to get my license, I kind of thought, well, I'll just do this in my spare time and on the weekends because, again, I had no control over growth with my other company. I was at a dead end and I wasn't going anywhere. And so, in order to be able to have some control over my income and my life a little bit, I was going to say, it was kind of like, I thought it'd be a side hustle. I don't encourage that whenever, because people ask me that all the time. People think that a lot. But the problem is, whenever you start, first of all, it takes a few $1,000s to get the training. Then you got to get tools. Then you got to pay for licensing, insurance, all of these things. And so you'll be in the hole, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 without ever having gotten an inspection. And then you got to figure out how to get them. And so then how are you going to get them? You're going to market, right? Mostly to real estate agents, especially in the beginning. And so, we market to real estate agents, and you finally get somebody convinced that you're the guy that they should call. And so they do. Yeah, it's hard.
It is.
And so then they call you, and then you're like, okay, well, yeah. So without saying in too many words, like, I work a full-time job, so I'm not available until Saturday, and it's Monday.
And your option period's 2 days.
Totally. Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's not going to work. Sorry. So guess what? They don't call you the next time either. Mm-hmm. And so you soon realize that all the money that you put into marketing and everything that you've put into getting this, like, you're not going to get much out of it unless you are available, and you got to really market to a whole bunch of people. And so, so how in the heck did I do that? Well, the one thing that my other job had that I mean, they knew that they had it. They knew that this was like the leg they had to stand on. So there was no room for growth. There was no commission, but there was a whole lot of flexibility. I don't think it was intended for the flexibility to result in you starting your own business on the side. But I mean, hey, you left me no choice, And so, I did. I started my business, and I realized, like I say, all the efforts and everything. I was always trying to offset the cost, because I made good money where I was at, but I didn't want to just throw money away. And again, I was thousands in the hole, so I was like, God, I got to get out there and start making money to offset this cost. It's going to take a long time. And so I exploited every bit of flexibility I had at that company. I studied to get my license while I was at that company. And then I got licensed, started working, and I would take off early. I would work on the weekends like I said I was going to. I would work in my spare time, but I would take off early. I would take off days, whatever I had to do to make it happen. And basically, at the point where I quit, it's about 2.5 years I did that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was slow in the beginning. It was just few and far between. trying to make myself available. And then by the time I quit, it was probably, 6 to 8 inspections a week. And I was doing that while I was working, and it was hard. And it was like 2 full-time jobs, And I had been, like, if you think about all the hours I spent at night studying just to get my license, which went on for a long time, and then all the spare time I had been putting into doing inspections and marketing and stuff, then you fast forward 2.5 years later, like I'm doing 6 to 8 inspections a week. I'm nervous about quitting, but it's like, I can't keep this pace up. I got to go. Something's got to give, and it's not going to be the job that I've been at a dead end for 8 years. It's going to be, I'm going to put this into my own company. And a buddy of mine had been pushing me to do it anyway for a long time, just cut the cord and just do inspections. And I did, and it worked out really well. But yeah, it was hard and a lot of work. And when people say they want to open up their own business as a home inspector, I'm like, just know, like, you're not going to make any money for a long time. Like, profit, you're not going to make any profit for 2 years. You gotta get the phone to ring. Once you start doing inspections, and then here's the other problem. Once you get the phone to ring, do you actually know how to do the job well enough for them to call you back? Because you got to do it enough, And like, it took a lot of self-criticism. Like, I have a realtor who works in my neighborhood. I don't think he knew I was new whenever he first hired me, but he wasn't very busy. But I still remember to this day him telling me something that he needed some clarification on a report. And I was like, I was probably, I don't know, anywhere from 50 to 100 inspections in at this point. And I was like, okay. And I took that and I think about it almost every single time when I'm doing something of that nature in a report. I'm like, this needs clarification. I took that criticism that I got whenever I got it, because I felt like I was fortunate to get it, right? Because some people just won't criticize, they just won't call you back. Mm-hmm. Gave me the criticism that gave me an opportunity to do better. And right. So I did better, and I kept taking from that and kept getting better. Just like I said, the life experiences I got around tradesmen and stuff, I would soak in experiences through the inspections I did. One time I was at a CE class, and some inspector friends of mine, for a company I almost worked for, by the way, they were all together there as a company to take the CE, and I was just this lone wolf out here. And, the guy that I really knew, he was like, yeah, here's Matt. He almost worked for our company. We tried to convince him to, but he started his own. And they invited me to lunch, right? So I went to lunch with them, and I'll never forget talking about like 6 inspectors sitting around having lunch. Like, what are we going to talk about? Houses, problems, inspections, reports. Very boring stuff no one wanted to listen to. But I sat there and listened to these guys, and I remember picking up a few things, notably about how they put together their reports. Really just like a layout, a visual aspect of it. And what they were talking about, and I'm not going to go into it because it sounds dumb, but what they were talking about, I had not considered. And I remember looking at one of the guys going, man, I don't do any of that at all. And he goes, oh, really? And that was it. That was the end of that conversation. But it resonated with me. And I'm pretty sure that every report I did after that looked significantly different and cleaner. And now it's like a really big thing. It's really about how I separate things in my reports. Y'all have probably seen a ton of inspection reports. It seems like one big run-on sentence sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I wasn't going to go into it, but I'm going to a little bit. What happens is, like, people will put like information, and then that information feeds onto the next page, and then that information stops, and information on another system starts, and then that bleeds onto the next page. And right. Anyway, that's why I say it's like a run-on sentence. Like, I try my best we can manually break that apart so that, like, this system is these 3 pages, and the next system doesn't start until the next page. Mm-hmm. And so, there's not going to be like a sentence on one page and the rest of it on another. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be like some continuation unless it's the same system going down. Anyway,
you should like. Wouldn't it be so cool if you could like add emojis? Like,
it would be really funny to like. And I got a buddy of mine up in Utah. I don't know if you guys follow him. He's a home inspector up there. home inspector Salt Lake, I think is his name, Bo Brown, and he he decided that because I do my best to not make myself show up in any of the pictures. But it's very hard, and he decided, and I don't do it, right? But he decided a long time ago, like, this is too hard, so I'm just going to make sure that I'm in at least one picture in every report. And so he plays this game with his clients called Find Bobo.
I love
And
that.
at least in one of his pictures, there will be some picture of him. It's usually like a picture of like the bathroom, and like he's waving in the mirror or something like that. He's a goofy dude, but really good home inspector. Yeah, I mean, there are some times that emojis. That's kind of funny. I never really thought about that, but
I'm gonna need a copyright on that.
I have thought really like I've had to fight being very sarcastic, and I think there was one time where I really was like, I think it was a sprinkler, and they had like all the zones labeled, and they were completely wrong. Like zone 1 did not do the front yard, it did like the backyard. Zone 2 did not do the right side, it did the flower bed or something. It's like every one of them was wrong, and I wish I could remember which report this was because I made sure to tell the realtor. I was like, did you read the sprinkler section? Because it was something like very sarcastic. Like there is no rhyme or reason whatsoever to the labeling. And this is not even something I usually talk about. But it's like, I mean, it's hard sometimes to not go, whoever did this should be embarrassed. Oh, there's one line I really like to use. And it is, and I do use this one. Whatever, observed by inspector was observed to be unprofessional and unworkmanlike. And it's like,
Ooh,
yeah, I love that one. Yeah. And it's usually like something like,
and then the seller's like, my dad did that.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Or, they something put together with duct tape or somebody looking like they've never used a caulk gun before. Like, yeah, I mean, I love using that one because my inspections don't really include a whole lot of cosmetic stuff. Unless I can draw a line to performance, because it's just not about that. The cosmetics for your blue tape walk, but I mean, for me, I'm trying to find stuff that is broken in areas that you wouldn't go, that you don't know to go, about things that you don't know anything about. And so I try not to point out too much that's on the cosmetic level of things. But I mean, there's some stuff you just can't turn a blind eye to. It's just that bad. And so I love throwing that unprofessional and unworkmanlike comment in there. It's true.
So let's jump into. So I'm just roughly calculating. So from the time you got into an industry, and then like COVID happened, was that really your social media jump? Like just people being at home, or what kind of walk us through like your following from I started a new business to I'm an influencer.
It's funny because I don't really know, and I've never really thought too much about whether or not COVID played a factor. It probably did. But I'll tell you the timeline on things. So like about maybe in 2018, my buddy, I've mentioned him a couple times. I'll just go ahead and mention you by name, Chris Murphy. Because I've talked about him and his company a couple of times already. And so Chris Murphy, another home inspector, A-Action Home Inspections. I don't know why I'm giving him a plug. There you go, buddy. He's out in my area too. Anyway, he encouraged me to get on social. He's like the OG to me on social media, and he encouraged me to get on social media and make some videos. And like I said, it was about 2018. I wasn't that down. I didn't think it would be that. He seemed to think it made a big difference with his company. I didn't seem to think that it would.
Can I ask you something though?
Yeah.
Is he like a solo guy like you?
No.
He a bigger company?
Yeah, I mean he was, but he started his business with the full intent of having a larger company. I did not, but
okay.
Now he's got about 10 guys, but at the time he had about 7.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like what avenues like a individual inspector would take to create that. And I was just curious.
Yeah. So, and I mean, he didn't have a huge following, but he had a lot more than me at the time. And I was like, okay. I mean, I followed the guy's advice because he was successful. So I was just going to do mostly what he said. And so I made, like my first video. It's of me in my attic because I didn't have hardly any work, talking about my water heater. And it's really dumb. It's terrible. It's still out there.
I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah.
And then you made that
Go ahead.
snide comment. Check out my report.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah. Well, it was my water heater, so I couldn't say anything bad about it. I had to. Well, I guess no one knew that, and there wasn't anything bad about it anyway. But I mean, yeah. But I'll tell you what's bad about it. It's just the video overall is terrible. I was uncomfortable on the microphone. I was uncomfortable in front of the camera, which is kind of odd considering my background. But I won't go down that road. But I just wasn't used to making social media content, and so I put that out there and I did it, and then. I kept making videos, which, no one really saw. Like I was excited to get like 25 views and a comment or something, and like one of those views would like be my mom and my wife, and so, but I just kept relentlessly doing it, a couple years, and, kind of felt like I was getting my stride and getting a little bit better. I got a lot more comfortable on the microphone. It took a few months, a few videos, but I started to kind of hit some, at least what I felt like was, my stride, and I felt a lot more comfortable. And things started to happen. Like, realtors would call me because of the videos that they would see. It'd be one or two, and I would just get stoked because, hey, it worked. It's actually doing something.
And it was free.
Yeah, it was free. Time consuming, but free. And so, but nothing was really just like taking off. I was just like following realtors and trying to connect and everything with realtors just all over every platform I could get on, trying to connect with them so that they could see my stuff and try to get out there. And while it was growing very slow. But then it was 2020. So I'm trying to think if it was before COVID. I think it was before COVID that it started to take off. Because that was in the spring, right?
March of 2020.
Yeah. I can't remember. But it did, at some point, in 2020, it started to take off a little bit. Like, I never really thought about whether or not COVID had played a part in it. But I'll tell you what I did worry about. Like, what does this mean? Like, I got this business. It just started doing pretty well. In 2019 is when I stopped working for my other company. And so in 2020, this COVID bomb hits, and it's like, wow, what does this mean for my company? And, well, we all know what happened to the real estate market. The wheels came right off, and like I was busy. So I don't know if that played a factor as well, but I mean, like I was doing all these inspections. It was a total pain in the butt because people wanted you to wear a mask and all this stuff. It was hot, and I was sweating in a mask.
Did you make any videos about it?
Yeah, I did. Back in those days, it was brutal. I'd wear a mask all day. My beard would get all crimped up. People want you to wear
And in
gloves.
Texas, you have a tan line.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough times. I hated that. But I was busy. And then, of course, it remained that way for a long time. And then, like I say, the social media started to blow up. I wish I could remember exactly when. It was either right before or right after COVID. So I don't know. I don't know what it had to do with, really. I never really thought about that correlation. But yeah, I went from like having like 1,000 followers to having like 17,000 followers on Instagram within like about a week. And and then it just kind of steadily grew from there.
So how did it like walk us through like that feeling of like when you noticed it, you're like, it's kind of like, do you remember like, I think it was like in 2020 whenever like the crypto like had a glitch in the system and it was like, you have this much millions of dollars, and it was like, just kidding, that was a blip.
Yeah.
Was it kind of like, did you have that feeling of like, is this real? Like,
sort of, but I mean, like, so when this happened, I had started making content back in 2018, and so like I'm a couple of years, about 2.5 years into making social media content, and I said I wasn't going to go into my background, but I'm going to touch on it.
No,
I guess this is going to be the thing.
No, please do.
Where I say I'm not going to talk about something, and then we go back and talk about it. Running theme throughout here. Okay, so I was a musician, and so I had been in bands and promoted bands for years, right? And so. So promoting something wasn't something that I wasn't foreign to that. And so I had basically been making social media content for what felt like no audience for years. And now I felt like I was actually pretty decent at it. And so I was like, oh, y'all are paying attention now? Oh, well, watch this, and I just mashed the gas. I had ideas. I started throwing stuff out there and immediately started just trying to play that role of like, because I didn't really think too much about what it meant. I just was like, oh, you're paying attention. Let me give you some stuff to look at then. And later it started to become something different. And then, of course, I had to deal with the hate and the trolls and all of that, which is something I'm not wired for that. I had to rewire myself for that. That was hard.
So, are you like, was it easy for you to just deflect, or did you engage and give it right back?
Yeah, engaged and gave it right back for multiple reasons. Number one, self-control. I lacked that for sure. Also, I felt like it was good. I knew it was good. It was good for people to hate because number one, if you're hated, you're doing something right. Number two, that increases engagement and increases, the people that are able to see your stuff. So that actually is a good thing when it comes in, and kind of poking the bear a little bit isn't bad, but it depends on how emotionally invested you are, right? And at the time, in the beginning, I would get ruffled. Now I look forward to it. Every day I'm like, God, is somebody going to say something ugly? I can't wait. Because what I try to do, I've talked to some friends about it, I try to not reply immediately because I try to calculate a response because I'm a passionate dude. And somebody says something and I just get after it and misspell everything and say stuff. And they're like, you don't even know how to reply. And so I try to slow down a little bit these days, and I just don't take it personal. I took it too personal at the time, so I had to learn not to do that. But
do you have anybody that any realtors or any clients that are I reached out to you because your fire, your spiciness, in your comments?
I don't think anybody's ever mentioned that. No, maybe. No, not that I can think of.
Okay. So, had a massive increase. You're going through it, and then what did you learn about yourself? After you realized I'm getting too emotionally invested into this one video.
Well, I mean that I had to learn how to temper that.
Was it an outside comment from your wife or something, or was it just you acknowledged it yourself?
We talked about it.
Yeah.
But I think I just had to go through it. I had to just get to the point where I realized it didn't matter. It wasn't real. These people that were saying this stuff, they weren't real. Also, here's the thing, and this, I never stopped learning, right? I never stopped trying to be better at my job, at learning about things. But you got to think, when this started happening, again, I've been an inspector for 7 years, right? It's 2017, 3 years in, I'm blowing up on social media and getting a lot of hate comments, right? Three years in, right? And so now I'm 4 years past that, right? Well, I'm a lot more confident now than I was back then. So when somebody would challenge me and I'm emotionally invested and took it so personally, it resonated different. Because they would tell you don't know what you're talking about. I thought that there was a chance that they could be right, but I didn't want them to be. But I mean, so I felt this real need to defend, to go. Maybe I would dig up something, prove that I was right or whatever, and this real need to defend. I don't have that problem really anymore. I'm not saying that I'm right about everything. I'm not, but I mean, I don't care if I'm wrong so much anymore. And because everyone is every now and again. We say something that might wrong, or maybe it comes out wrong or something like that. But I've got a lot more confidence in what I say now. And so when someone says something hateful or something, they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. The other day I put a video up of a dryer that was in a room. It had the ability to be put on an exterior wall, but it was not. It's put on an interior wall, and the dryer vent was going out through the roof. You know how many times I've done videos on the dryer vent going through the roof, and how many people just talk about how yeah, well, you people in Texas are idiots, and you don't put your dryers on the outside wall so that it just goes out, so they can maintain it, And it's like, yeah, I know that makes a lot of sense, but I mean, a good 75% of them are going through the roof, especially on newer homes. And so, like, people hate on that, right? So then I put out this video where it was a framing stage inspection, and it was like, you clearly could have put these laundry connections on this outside wall, but you put them on this interior wall. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I put that out there, and it wasn't even a hateful video. It was just like, I don't really get why you're doing this. You know how many people like started yelling because they were like, you don't put them on an outside wall because that would make water lines be on an outside wall, and you don't do that. In cold climates, that'll freeze. Equally, there's like a ton of other people from cold climates that were like, yeah, we do it, and we don't have a problem. And so, like, they're arguing with each other on there, and I just let all that stuff happen now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I would be like, God, is that a problem? Should I have called that out? It's like, no, I mean, like, it's fine, especially in Texas. Like, first of all, it's not going to freeze. Second of all, it's PEX, so it's not going to burst. Third, it's insulated. Just insulate the pipe and stop arguing. But one thing that I learned, you're asking what I learned, and now that I've said all that, something that I have learned by doing all this on social media is regional variance. People do things differently in different parts of the country and in different countries. And I've got a lot of friends now that are up north, way out west, in Canada. And I learn all these different building practices and things that happen in different parts of the country. And we can all have constructive conversations about this and learn from it when we're not trying to be jerks on the internet. But there's just a lot of people that don't operate that way. But my realization of that, I've learned that things are done differently, and just because somebody thinks you're an idiot because of how they do it, how you do it here, doesn't actually mean that. It just means they are oblivious to the fact that things are done differently in different areas of the country for a reason.
Yeah.
So I just have to ask, a lot of these people that are giving the criticism and whatever, are you finding any of these people are home inspectors themselves, maybe in different areas?
No, they're all the dads.
Or is it?
Mostly. Yeah. No, most home inspectors tend to kind of be supportive of one another.
Yeah.
We don't always agree with one another. Okay. But most of us are supportive. There's one, and I promise you, this is I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to talk about this one dude.
Every time you say that.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Don't push me either. I'm not going to do it. No, seriously. No, there is one guy that's pretty combative and kind of divisive in our industry.
To you or to everybody?
Everybody.
Okay.
He has been specifically to me, but he has also been specifically to others as well. I don't operate that way. Most of us don't, but I try to lift people up, not bring them down. I try to help people out wherever I can. I have tried my best. I didn't ask for it. Did I work hard for what I've got? Yes. But I mean, I didn't ask for any of this. This was a gift. I am thankful for it. And I want to help people, whether it's help them learn about how to do home inspections, help them learn about their homes, help them learn about the need for home inspections. Because that's really where it all started, was about increasing awareness for the industry. And I feel like we've done that. I mean, it's never going to stop being done, but I feel like we have increased awareness to the home inspection industry with what me and some of these people are doing. But also, I want to help people grow their social media. I want to help them out if I can. I take the time every now and again to go like, hey, here are some accounts that I follow, that I am influenced by, that I enjoy to watch. Take a look at them. I try to collaborate and work with, inspectors or industry people that are not necessarily specifically that need help on social media. I mean, there might be some that have a large account too. I'm not picky about that. It's whatever, whoever I enjoy working with. I told you I might go visit a builder today in Brenham. I do this because it gives me some cool content on YouTube and Instagram. But I just want to bring some awareness to him. I mean, I can use my platform to bring some awareness to this builder. There are 100% people in this city that don't know he exists. and let's get that out there. There might be people. I know there's people that I follow that are in this city that don't know it exists. Let's get them to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's 100% like why we decided to do this podcast. It was just like, like there's so many cool people that we interact with on a daily basis, or we find them on socials or whatever it is. And it's just like, bring them to the conversation, and because they have something valuable, either learning or teaching somebody something every day.
Right.
Yeah, cool. So are you seeing any social media trends? Like, what are some things that you've like learned over time that it's just like, the hashtags made all the difference, or just engagement?
Consistency. That's the only one I can really stand by. Consistency. And I guess if I had to say something else, for me, diversity of content. Again, I want people, there's no secret really on my page that I'm a bourbon drinker, right? The reason, how do I bring that up in the morning? Because I've had people tell me, like, I came here for the home inspections and I stayed for the bourbon. Like, it doesn't have to be bourbon, but what I'm saying is like the diversity of content. Give them something besides just home inspection. They might find that fascinating, but that is not going to be long lived. And so for me, I had to bring some diversity to it. Like, there is no separation. I don't have a business page and a personal page. I actually do on Facebook, but I think that's because you have to. I think you have to have a personal page before you can have a business page. I don't even remember the last time I looked at my personal page. But anyway, I think that you have to. But my point is, I don't separate that stuff. I know a lot of people that are like, well, this is where I put my family and the stuff with my kids or whatever. It's like, I'm just all out there. You know me. This is what I do. And so that's where a lot of that diversity comes from. You might see me and my kid having fun doing something, or you might see, us doing some family vacation stuff. We're definitely going to see some home inspection stuff. You might see some stuff that I'm building around the house or whatever project I'm into that day. I just feel like consistency and diversity have helped me.
Yeah. And then, engaging back, like you said. That
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because you said that was something like that was like important for you to manage into your time as well.
So, and I can't do this anymore. I got too big. But there for a long time, I responded to every single comment for a long time. I mean, probably, I want to say maybe somewhere up to maybe like 75,000 followers on Instagram, like somewhere about that time is probably when I had to start backing off a little bit. But there was a time where I made it a point to respond. It might be an emoji. It might be, a single word. It might be a thank you. It might be anything. But I responded to everybody. I think that might have helped. I mean, especially back then. I still do it. I still do it to what I can. I don't respond to everybody. I can't. But it doesn't seem to really have the same effect.
Yeah, and we were talking to she's an influencer out here, Karina Ramirez, and she was telling us that like she built her following up enough that like her followers that know, like, and trust her handle the trolls. Like, they go out and do that on their own.
I got that too. God, what was it? One reason. Oh, there's this guy.
He's not going to say his name.
No, his name's Bert. I don't really know him. It's social media is wild, right? Because you get to know these people that you don't really ever even meet, and you get to know them a little bit. And there's this guy named Bert. He used to be a production home builder in the Houston area. Now I think he does welding and he works in commercial. He's actually remodeling some restaurants and stuff, along with a crew of some people. But anyway, I digress. He's a real sarcastic dude, and he is good for about at least one sarcastic comment per video, almost. I mean, almost everything I put out. Definitely, you guys know that it's not supposed to do that stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's every
We're
Thursday.
going to get there.
Yeah. Every Thursday, I put one of those out, right? This guy, at least on that one, every Thursday, some sarcastic comment. And like, I know he's joking, but he doesn't display it that way. And like the other day, he said something like, "Here you go again on Thursday, breaking people's stuff again." And I laughed, and I actually quoted the song by Limp Bizkit, "Break Stuff." I put the lyrics to "Break Stuff" on there, and and I put like dash, and instead of putting Limp Bizkit, I put old proverb. Because I figured, like, if you know, you know. And there was several people that were like, yeah, I guess, what are you doing there? But like there was at least one or two people that were like, oh yeah, because his name's like Bert Builds Houston or something like that. And they're like, what do you know? A builder getting mad at an inspector. Like people just attacking him. And they do this. He gets attacked all the time. And like me and him are in the shadows, like in the DMs going, and isn't that funny? That person took that so seriously. Like we were laughing at it, you know what I mean? And I have to tell people like, it's okay. Bert's just being silly.
Hey, but like you said, like, you're helping people, like, posting something on your page about them, but then you're also doing it online. If they're like making comments about yours and you're just like tag teaming it, like just in the comments, you're helping each other grow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that this guy's really concerned about growing anything on social media.
Helps you.
But I mean, like, he's just like this friend that I've never met. One of these days, he's in my area,
That's
so one
funny.
of these days I'll probably meet him. But I mean, yeah, it's just, he is always good. You gotta keep your eye out for that dude. He's always got a good comment there.
Old Bert. I'm going to have to watch
Bert.
for him.
But I mean, yeah, people go to bat all the time. It's actually really cool. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it because, like, this guy's joking. And so I'm trying to tell them, like, he's being silly. But I mean, I'm honored. First of all, I'm honored to have all of these people want to know what I'm doing all the time. That is bananas. I can't believe that happens. And I'm honored that people care enough to actually go to bat for me when somebody's being ugly. They do it a lot. The particular guy that I won't mention his name, I'm not, okay? I'm not. There were a lot of people that solidified like they followed me and him because they enjoyed both of our content, but like we're like, no way. Like after what he did, like I can't anymore with this guy. And like there's a couple of people that I talk to on a regular basis from that whole ordeal, because like they went to bat. I mean, it was ugly. Okay. I'm not going to go into it, but it was ugly. And there were people that said, sent me screenshots of what they said to him and everything. I mean, they told this guy off. And one of them said, I just emailed every insurance company in the local area and gave him his email address for a quote or something like that. He said something like he put an ad on Craigslist for free puppies with his phone number. I don't know. It's funny. It's really funny for people to go to bat for you. Like, that's really cool. I am honored that people respect what I'm doing because I'm trying to be respectful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do not try to call anybody out, like specifically, like inspectors, people, builders, anything. I just try to be respectful with what I put out there. And when people realize like that and respect it, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm dying to know, and I know Tisha is too. Where did the saying come from? It's not supposed to do that.
Okay, so I got a little story on, if you visit my Instagram page, there's a bubble that says start here. And that basically gives a little history about myself. A little minute and a half history about myself. And I go into that a little bit. I'd have to revisit that because that actually has facts in it about like when things kind of took off. But anyway, so I think it was in 2020. I did a video. It just came to mind. So dial it back to my buddy Chris Murphy. Drop him another plug there. He was my inspiration for social media, and he had a little saying that he did. He said, he said, I'm Chris Murphy from The Action, and we're going to go look at this 1978 house. Let's go check it out. He had this check it out motion that he did and everything. I was so jealous of it. I thought, man, that's so cool because that's what we do, to check it out. What's going to be my thing? And I mean, this was like 2018. And so a minimum of 2 years go by. And I never really thought it to be anything. I remember the house I was inspecting, and I was just trying to make different styles of content. And that came to mind. And so I just did it. And I was like, I made this whole video of like, it's not supposed to do that. And at the time, it was before everything took off. And so I didn't have hardly any following. So I didn't really do anything. And like, I went back and looked at it because it's still out there. It like did this like fade in thing from one clip to another. It wasn't like jump cuts, and it didn't even look that good. So of course it didn't take off. But but anyway, I thought I was going to. Like, I felt like, that's kind of funny. It's just, I don't know. I didn't really think about what I was doing. I just did it. But it's like deadpan, you know, like just my face. It's not supposed to do that, you know, just kind of serious. And yeah, it's super like deadpan comedy. I didn't really think about what it was, but that's what it is. And so that happened. And then again, I told you, like, the wheels came off in like sometime in 2020 or 2021 something. And I was like, okay, all of a sudden I've got this audience. What can I do for you? And I was like thinking about things, and I went, you know what? Let me revisit that, because I think that's pretty good. So I did another one. And I said, there was another guy that does, he's actually a fitness guy, but he does like a numbered series. Pat McNamara, he does a numbered series of videos called Basic Dude Stuff. You ever heard of this?
No.
This is great. Like,
We really don't have reason to watch basic dude stuff.
you would, but you get entertained by it for sure. But I mean, like, it's like, you know, he might be changing a tire, or he might be like tending to his garden. And every time he does something, he goes, you know, this, whatever he's doing, you know, tending to your garden is basic dude stuff, you know? And real serious guy, you know? And anyway, he was a lot of inspiration, I mean, for fitness, but also for my video. It's like a numbered series. I was like, I really liked that. I found him after I started doing the it's not supposed to do that. But before I did the numbered series, I was like, hey, maybe I throw this back out there, and if y'all like this, I'll do it as a numbered series. Immediately it took off, right? And so then I started doing a numbered series. I'm up to I put out the 152nd episode yesterday.
Wow.
So
yeah.
one a week for you know, like 3 years or something like that. What was that? Yeah, something like 3 years. I've missed a couple of days here and there, mostly like Thanksgivings. That's about it, really.
I'm so curious. Like in your inspection reports, do you put it's not supposed to do that?
No, I don't. I've considered it. Also, like having stickers. I have stickers, but I've never used them on inspections.
And just putting it on that
Yeah.
item.
Like blue tape it, but like
I
with
did
your
it at
stickers?
Matt Reisinger's house. Do you guys know who Matt Reisinger is?
Yeah.
Okay, I was walking through his. He recently he did Build Show Live, which was, you know, a builder's event. He did first year of it out in Austin, and a couple months before that, I was going there to visit, and I was walking his house. That he wasn't there; he's actually out of town. I was walking with Mark Willie and Jake Bruton, and we were walking through this house, and I was just looking for stuff that was wrong. It's hard because they do stuff right, you know, but everyone does something wrong, and so I found a spot where I could slap my sticker on. So I did it on his house, but no, I don't put it on houses. I think it'd be rude.
Yeah.
Silly for Matt, but not really for like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be rude if I.
You might be helping sellers, you know, as they go through.
I mean, I thought about, like, you know, like this house was inspected by sticker,
Yeah.
you know, and just like throwing that underneath the kitchen counter.
Hey, you could just do magnets, stick it on the fridge.
That'd be funny. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, you have learned over time, just like, you know, you came from a different field, getting into this, and then you're picking up things on social media. But then has AI made an impact on your social media game at all yet? Or just even in your workflow?
It's starting to, just because using it as a tool, if that's what you're talking about. There is some concern amongst the industry because, like, there's an awful lot you can learn off of AI. So it's like, you know, could you just inspect your house and walk through it and be like, hey, am I supposed to see this crack in this corner? And then the AI tell you something, but it's like, can you trust it? I don't know. I mean, I think for the most part, I mean, I talked to you about Bo Brown up in Utah. Him and another inspector that's out of Hawaii have created an app that uses AI technology coupled, and you can like enter your state. This is for home inspectors really specifically, to be able to find codes and regulations to your area very quickly. And so I've been beta testing that app, and so AI has been really cool for that. I have also been using it a lot for captions for videos as of late. That's about it. That's about all I've done. I did one time, I had to do a presentation one time, and I was like, Yeah, ChatGPT. Write a 20-minute presentation on this. I didn't use it all, but I mean, like, I did pull things from it to use. It's cool.
Yeah.
I do not think it replaces the human element of like a home inspector. First of all, like, you got to know what to look at before you know what to ask it.
Yep, you have to prompt it so well.
Yeah, I mean, it can it can send you down the wrong path if you don't know what you're doing. And so, like, you have to have the experience to know what's going on with the house to be able to ask it the right question to even possibly get where you might want to be. And so, no, I don't think we're in any real threat there. But have I used it for social media purposes? Yep. Yeah, I've used it for those captions mostly.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you, and I know Kendra does too. It's like, it's not a replacer. It's just something that you can add to your toolkit to give you more time.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're splitting up, work, family, social stuff with like marketing, admin, that whole thing as a business owner. This is just adding something back into your life, a little bit more time.
Well, it's funny because, like, so when I say I use it for captions, like, I'll have the video made and prepared, right? And so I can just give it a briefing of the video and say, write me an Instagram or a caption for an Instagram reel about a dryer duct and how it should not go through the roof, but it should go through the sidewall. And I could say it like that, right? And it can give that to me, and it'll give it to me in a real eloquent way with maybe a couple of emojis and a couple of hashtags. And relevant, And it's like, I can do that, and I have been doing it for years, but it's just instant. I can just tell it to do it and say it the way I would talk to me and you, and it gives it back to me. And if I don't like it, I can say, try that again. But
try again, Spunky.
Yeah. Or I can, if I want to change it because I sometimes will put different captions per platform. So I'll like, write a different version of this, for TikTok or because YouTube, I do YouTube Shorts, but you only get 100 characters on there. So I'll be like, write me a version of this caption that is under 200 or under 100 characters, and then boom, it does.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you too. Like, are you watching like a lot of the trending stuff? Like, whenever you do pop on of like the trending topics of maybe for you versus like, so you can kind of know content to go out and create, or are you just going out and being authentic everywhere?
No, where do you watch that? What do you mean?
So I know, like, on X, you can do that. Like, you can. Like,
I've not been on that.
Yeah, no, you're good. But like, you can look at like the For You or like maybe trending topics of like what people are talking about, and then if you've got the hashtag and you're putting it on your social, then you can maybe appear more. I was just curious.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it's probably helpful, but no, I don't do that. I really don't do anything except whatever I do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't pay much attention
100% authenticity to it. Yeah.
My buddy Bo, I was talking about, he pays a lot of attention to like insights and how things are performing and things like that. I don't. I just don't give it a whole lot of thought. I just do. And so I don't get wrapped up into the, what is popular. Now, I do try to hit on anything I can see that's trending. I mean, not anything, but if there's a certain like music that people are using, or a certain thing that they're kind of redoing and doing their own version of that, and that's very popular, I'll try to hit on that. Like, I'll give you an example, like meme stuff, especially. Although I guess no, it's mostly videos. I don't do a whole lot of memes, but it relates. You remember a couple years ago when Will Smith slapped the crap out of Chris Rock, and everyone was doing memes on that.
I love those.
So I did that one, but all it says is it's not supposed to do that, and it's just got him slapping him across the face, and that did great, right? And then like I did like when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift was whispering and
Travis Kelce,
so I did that, but of course she was saying it's not supposed to do that. People love that stuff, So if there's any like trending thing like that, and there's video ones too, right? I'll hop on that if it makes sense. But I don't know how to like find what's trending unless it just like pops up, because I don't even really watch much. Yeah,
and even like the new, like we were talking about AI, like the new AI they're coming out with like videos and stuff, like it's crazy. Like you could tell it, go make Taylor Swift go do this and say this,
I have not checked any of that out. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like how to use, I don't even know what AI tool you would use to like create video or pictures. But
some of the AI that we've messed around with, you can tell it what you want to do. And the distorted face is so freaky. It's like, no, we're not.
I want someone to make an AI of me. I wonder if that would work.
You can do it.
No, I don't want to do it.
No, I'm
I
saying
would be
like it
too
can
critical.
be done.
Yeah. You go, hey, it can be. Somebody can do it. If you're listening, tag me. Tag me, but I want to see an AI version of me doing a video or something.
Yeah,
Don't
especially
make me do anything stupid. Or I don't know, do it, whatever. I don't care.
just it's not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Whatever. I will authenticate it or de-authenticate it.
Love
Whatever.
it. So, like our viewers, we just want to let you know that this is going to actually be part one of tuning in and learning all about all these great, amazing things that we're doing here. And so, if you have any questions for us or want to reach out, where's the best place to find you?
Oh, yeah. So Instagram would be Instagram and TikTok, as long as we have TikTok. I don't know. And I think also on YouTube, you can find me at texas.edge.inspect. For some strange reason, it's different on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, I think it's like HM Inspect TX or something. But basically, I'm pretty easy to find. Like just Texas Edge Home Inspections. Google it, put it in any search engine. You're going to find me. Go to my website. All the links to my social media are down there. I am an easy guy to find.
And if you can't find him, reach out to us at texastrioteam.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and keep living your best life.